Hello, I'm an elderly person. I'm about 72 years old, and again I've been scammed. This has happened to me a number of times. This time it's an IRS scam. I've had this, I think this is the second time I've had somebody who claimed they were from the IRS, but I'm certain they're not from the IRS. They give a, sometimes they give a name like I'm Officer so-and-so from the IRS or whatever. But they, if they're, normally the IRS would send a, if it's important enough, they would send a certified letter that they want to interview me or have an audit of my finance or whatever to prove that I have a right for, let's say, a tax refund, whatever. And also they would generally give a number, like my employee number is such and such, like 82563 or something. And she didn't even do that. She did leave a number, but it's probably, as I say, probably a con game, and they're actually using the IRS, and obviously this intimidates a lot of people and scares a lot of people as well, especially if you're older, and especially if maybe you're not quite as alert as you used to be because because of your age, you know, or if you're suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, and they know that. The people who make these calls, these fraudulent phone calls, know this, and they play on people's fears, and they know that elderly people like myself are especially vulnerable to this, and this is injustice. And I think the penalties, like when people are caught doing this to elderly, should be more severe than, say, for a regular person who's maybe like 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you know, younger people, because they're, you know, actually intentionally going after the older people. I think some of this might come from hacking government websites or whatever. I can't prove that, but I suspect that could be the case because OPM, for example, has been compromised, up close to 24 million records, as a matter of fact. And as you know, there are some pretty severe laws when people harm children, you know, child molestation laws and that. They have lists of people who have gone to prison for that, and they have to know where they are, you know. I think there should be similar type laws to really punish the people who go after senior citizens. And remember, a lot of senior citizens, they lost loved ones, they're all alone. So it's more than just suffering, maybe they're in their twilight years, from maybe slower recall or the instead of certain age-related diseases. The fact that a lot of them are lonely or lost loved ones, they feel kind of alone. And these crooks, these fraudulent people, take advantage of this as well. Anyway, listen to this phone call.
Go. Or your retained attorney of record to return the call. The issue at the hand is extremely time sensitive. I am Officer Lauren Matthew from Internal Revenue Service, and the hotline to my division is 408-716-0701. I repeat, it's 408-716-0701. Don't disregard this message and do return the call before we take any action against you. Goodbye and take care.
Points to this, but 3 points I want to make are that, number one, they talk about that this is urgent, time is of the essence. It's a form of pressure they're putting on people. Then they follow that up with the fact, oh, we're from the IRS. I think that's a bunch of BS. They're using IRS, and I think the IRS should take much more serious action against these people, really go after them big time. So they're using that. They boom, boom, 1, 2. First, it's a matter of the utmost urgency, practically, if not literally. And then that we're from the IRS, right away, right after that. And then the last thing is that there's a threat. Call it a veiled threat, call it a definite threat. But they mentioned about basically, do not disregard this call. You know, contact us immediately, or action will be taken. And that is That is not a veiled threat to me. That's a threat all the way, and something should be done about this. And I'm sure this is happening to lots of people, maybe hundreds of thousands, if not millions of elderly Americans, and I think it's getting worse because it only just, the last like 4 or 5 months or so, I've gotten at least 2 of these calls, IRS type calls, but I've gotten other types of calls from people who were also trying to scam me. So it's not just the IRS scam, but there's other scams going on here. And chances are somehow, whether through OPM, Office Personnel Management, or whether through maybe companies that I bought stuff from, whatever, that they probably found out that I'm retired, or at least of elderly age. I'm 72 years old, and that they figure I'm a easy target. Because a lot of elderly people are easy targets. But that's not me. Thank you. I mentioned 3 points just before. Here are 3 more points. Number 1, when a person comes and claims they're from the IRS, normally they'll leave their employee number, like 834879, so you can identify them. And you could go, if you had to, go to the IRS, and if you had an argument or rightful question about this person, they could track the person down by their ID number. And she didn't do that. Another one is that the IRS, if it goes after people, unless it has to get them right away, it sends out armed enforcement officers from the IRS. If they have those, very few, but they do have them. But what they will do is send out a certified letter that we want you to come down to our office, like in the federal building, wherever they are, or we want to do an audit on you because we question the refund, that big refund that you got back, stuff like that. And basically that's it. And then the third one is that the IRS, they're not in the habit of calling people like on these kind of matters. I mean, it's too personal for them to be calling up. They don't know who can answer the phone. It could be my brother, my mother, and then other people start, Bob, that's me. Do they have a problem with the government or the IRS? So they don't do it that way. They could get in trouble themselves. So they keep things more discreet. And those are points, very important points that I also wanted to point out. And it's because the IRS, whatever you might think of the IRS, they're more professional than these people are. And that's it. I think that covers it pretty well.
Thank you, Bob.
I'd like to hear your opinions too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.